What's up, guys? Megan here with WeRempowerment, and today I wanted to talk about how to control your mind through transcending the ego. But first, before I get into this video, if you do like this content, please hit the subscribe button and the little bell so you get notified every time I make new videos. Now, before we get into it, and stick around until the end of the video because I am going to go over 2 techniques to help you get more control over your mind and completely dissolve the ego. But before we get into it, we need to understand what and why, those 2 things. What is the ego and why do we want to get rid of it? Now, the first thing that we want to go over is what? What is the ego? The ego is your thoughts or emotions, the positive or the negative polarities of the mind. Oh, I'm really depressed. Oh, I'm really happy. Oh, this thing happened to me. This really good thing happened to me today. This really bad thing happened to me today. That is the ego. When you have thoughts like that, that creates an emotion. And those emotions can either be fearful emotions, anxiety, thoughts of abundance, thoughts of scarcity, depending on what the ego feels about your life situation in this current moment. Now, why do we want to completely dissolve the ego? Why don't we just want to live in positivity? Because you cannot expect life to always be positive. Things are going to happen around you and the ego is not going to like it. But if we're able to dissolve the ego in thinking that just because something good or bad is happening that we need to constantly, be happy or sad, that's when you get to a point where you say, you know what, let's just transcend the ego altogether. And you get on this true spiritual path. There are people out there that think that it's all about being positive and just having a positive outlook. And in my opinion, I think that it's more important to transcend the ego altogether than to just be positive and hope for a positive outcome. Yes, you do still want to hope for a positive outcome, but here's the thing. You can't control what's going on around you. You're never going to be able to. It's never going to happen. I don't care what people say. The only way, and if you want to manifest things into your life, the only way to do that really is just transcend the ego altogether and forget about manifestation. So why do we want to do this? So that you can experience life without letting it experience you. Without saying, oh, I'm having this really intense emotion, let's attach to it. Or, oh, I'm having a really happy emotion, let's attach to it. We forget that we're not our physical body and we are not our life situation. Our real life is what's inside. We're in here and we're letting the outside affect how we feel instead of first taking a look on the inside and fixing the inside and then letting the outside reflect what was in the inside, because you have to understand that the outside is only a reflection of how you feel on the inside. And if you don't feel very good about yourself on the inside, how do you expect, that new relationship to come or that new job opportunity to come if you don't feel good? And even if you do manifest it into your life, you're going to end up manifesting a version of that which is scarcity instead of abundance. So in order to do this, we need to rise above thought and completely dissolve the ego. Transcend the ego into presence. When we're able to put our awareness on the ego, it slowly dissolves little by little. Same with our emotions, but if we're able to cut off the thought that creates the emotion altogether, we then are transcending the ego. Now getting into the 2 techniques that I have. They're very, if you've ever read Eckhart Tolle, Power Now, he talks about these in here, but I'm a huge fan of his, so check out that book if you haven't. The first technique is to listen to the voice in your head as much as possible. Be the looker. Now, that is, when you come to it, you come to a sense of being and just letting thoughts pass by you like cars. The more and more you do this, the more and more you sit further back in awareness and less attachment to thought. So say I just lost my job and I don't know what I'm gonna do. I've got a bunch of bills I gotta pay and I have a lot of worrisome thoughts. What you want to do is you just want to sit there with yourself for a minute. Just lay there and just watch the thoughts go by. Just watch them. Instead of attaching to them as a good or bad, just watch them go by and let them float by. And what you're going to notice is you're going to start to feel some intense emotions. But within doing that, you're detaching from that emotion and you're detaching from that thought. So keep doing that and keep meditating, and you'll start to notice that those thoughts are going to start to dissolve more and more as time goes on. Okay. Now, the number 2 thing is to watch the emotions. Watch the emotions and slowly move into the body. Now, what do I mean by move into the body? What I mean is if you have that sense of awareness of being able to observe your thoughts, if you can observe your thoughts, you're not your thoughts. Use that awareness and shift your awareness into your body. Focus on your hands. Maybe start out with one and focus on just one hand, even if you need to close your eyes to do it. And then as you gradually go on, maybe you can do both hands. And then maybe you can focus on both hands at once without closing your eyes. And more, you're going to start to shift your awareness into your body. And the more that you are able to shift your awareness into something that's not thought, you transcend thought. So if that means you're listening to the sounds around you, you're focusing on your breath, which is a really popular one. The Buddhas really like the breath work, or your body. I really like body. I feel like for me, it's the easiest. But whichever one you want to use, slowly but surely shift into the body and realize that your emotions are just reactions to your mind. You are not your emotions. So if emotions come up when you're slowly dissolving the ego, just observe them and realize that you don't need to react just because they're there. When you start changing the way that you react just because you have a fearful thought or an angry thought, you start to dissolve that emotion because it doesn't have a gravitational pull towards you anymore. It can't control you anymore. And that's when true change comes. That's when you're able to dissolve the ego and dissolve those emotions for good. So these 2 things are going to start to dissolve the ego and bring you into presence more and more and more. Just a little tip is the more that you can try to shift yourself back to the present moment while doing these things, the more you're going to start to feel peace within yourself. And you're not going to feel like you need anything outside of yourself to feel whole and complete. And that's really all I got today, guys. So it's a pretty short and quick video, but I really hope that it helps you guys. And if you like this content, please let me know in the comments down below. I will talk to you soon. Okay, one love. Peace.